Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up one morning, stepped outside for a breath of fresh air, and realized the peace you'd built for yourself was suddenly under attack by a neighbor with more authority in her clipboard than most judges have in their entire courtrooms? Because that's exactly where my story begins. One quiet Saturday, the sound of metal on metal, the cold slice of a lock being cut, ripped through my garden, straight into years of sweat and hope I'd poured into this little patch of earth. That's when I realized, sometimes, the biggest wars don't happen in courtrooms or battlefields. They start right in your own front yard, usually led by someone convinced the world would be a better place if everyone just listened to them. Let's back up a second. I'm Rebecca Thomas, a 32-year-old real estate attorney who put her career on hold to raise our little girl, Olivia, while my husband Andrew kept our family afloat with his IT gig. This house, it's been in my family for over a decade, my late grandpa's dream, handed down with all his stubbornness and love. So when the HOA in Willowbrook Park formed a few years back, I politely declined. Grandpa's house was here before the bylaws, before the committees, before neighbors started forming search parties if your grass grew a millimeter too tall. Legally, I was never part of their HOA club. But rules mean little to people who believe their rules are the rules. Enter Martha Jennings, classic HOA president. Short, crisp haircut, sharp voice, always with a black folder tucked under her arm, marching up and down the sidewalks like she's auditioning for a reality TV show called Suburban Tyrants. Trouble started when I built a 6-foot wooden fence around my rose garden, the one place Olivia and I could breathe. Martha took it personally. She claimed the fence destroyed the neighborhood aesthetic, blocked visibility, set a bad precedent, and, I quote, threatened the delicate balance of our community. The fence was 50 feet from the main road. Her sense of balance was, frankly, the only thing threatened. The first week of what I now call the Martha Wars came in 3 acts. Monday, cookies and feigned curiosity. Oh, what an interesting fence. Did you get approval? Wednesday, clipboard and invented rules. According to section who knows what, fences cannot exceed 4 feet. Friday, threats delivered with all the subtlety of a marching band. You're putting this entire neighborhood in jeopardy. The kicker? She didn't realize I know property law like the back of my hand. Ma'am, this house isn't in the HOA, I told her, again calmly. Martha's face went from pink to full-on tomato as I handed her my official decline to join letter, notarized back, when everyone else was still figuring out where to hang their birdhouses. She stormed off like a general outflanked in battle, heels snapping on my driveway. Then came the psychological warfare. Martha has started whisper campaigns, told neighbors I was rebellious, disrespectful, dangerous to community values. At the grocery store, folks wouldn't meet my eyes. I got good luck smiles from people who used to chat with me about everything from weather to school board meetings. And the violations? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday like clockwork, improper parking, my car, in my garage, noise disturbance, watering roses at 10 a.m., waste disposal error, trash bags lined up with NASA precision. Letters looked so official you'd think the mayor himself had signed them. Except it was always Martha's signature, giant and looped, like she practiced it nightly. Each time, I answered with calm evidence, photos, receipts, a growing file thick enough to make any lawyer jealous. But Martha wasn't after facts. She wanted power. She lurked, took photos, peered through fence slats like a wildlife documentarian hoping to catch me. What? Growing illegal roses? And then came Brad, Martha's lawyer. He showed up, tie crooked, announcing serious legal implications. When I politely asked for his bar license, the poor guy muttered something about leaving it in his other jacket, then ran so fast he left behind his legal consultant card. You know what I mean? The whole situation would have been funny if it hadn't been my home. But things got serious the morning I found my lock cut, Martha leading a group of inspectors, really, just intimidated neighbors, right through my garden. She stood among my roses, waving her clipboard like a war flag. "This is community property," she screamed. I was recording the whole thing, my hands steady even though my heart was racing. The other inspectors started looking nervous, realizing they were part of something illegal. "We're calling the police," Martha shouted. "So am I," I replied, quietly, and that, not yelling, is what made her back down. They shuffled out, leaving behind trampled flowers and a brand new level of determination in me. The next Monday, a $500 fine showed up for illegal construction. That's when I stopped playing defense. I started digging. HOA documents, tax records, everything. Turns out Martha had rewritten the HOA bylaws on her own, making herself judge, jury, and executioner. But the real twist? She'd been claiming Texas residency for tax breaks while living here in California, which is, let's just say, not legal. I reached out to my old law school friend, Grace, who specializes in exactly this kind of small-town drama. "Becky, this is gold," she laughed. "Let's dig deeper." And we did. We found she'd fined residents over $20,000 in a year, and the money had vanished from HOA accounts. This wasn't just bullying. It was fraud. Meanwhile, I started talking to neighbors, and, oh, the stories. Mrs. Huang fined $150 for planting pink tulips. Dan, the night shift nurse, fined $300 for parking after midnight. Martha was running the HOA like a personal ATM. With evidence in hand, Grace and I put together a file so thick even Martha's clipboard would buckle under its weight. When the police showed up, after another one of Martha's dramatic 911 calls, I handed over property deeds, city permits, notarized HOA documents. The officers nodded, quietly impressed, and made it clear, my property, my rules. Filing false reports could lead to real charges for Martha. That week, Martha doubled down with a threatening letter from a so-called attorney, her own husband, a man with less legal experience than a reality TV judge. That was it. We called a community meeting, and for the first time, nearly everyone came. Martha tried to take command, but as I quietly distributed documents and Grace introduced herself as my attorney, the mood changed fast. One by one, we laid out the truth. My house, never under HOA. Martha's illegal bylaw changes, the missing funds. Grace even revealed the tax fraud. And, you better believe, folks' anger exploded. Neighbors stood up, shouting for her resignation, demanding their money back. Martha, once so powerful, was suddenly just another person in a room full of angry, fed-up neighbors. They voted her out on the spot, unanimously. Within weeks, the HOA was transformed. Mrs. Huang became president. Dan, the night nurse, oversaw community safety, and all major decisions now required public votes and open discussion. Fines capped at $50, no more arbitrary punishments, no more intimidation. Grace and I built a website, HOA Defenders, where people could download free legal guides and share stories. The fence around my rose garden, still standing, now a symbol of what's possible when you fight back, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's been bullied in the name of community standards. 3 months later, Martha's family was gone. Their house sold at a loss. The HOA's stolen money recovered and spent on a new playground for the kids. Willowbrook Park had changed for good. Sometimes, neighbors drop off flowers. Mrs. Huang brought me a bouquet of pink tulips last week. Dan parks his car right in front of his house and waves when he heads to work. What did I learn? The law isn't just words on paper. It's power for anyone willing to stand up. And sometimes all it takes is one person saying no at the right moment. But I gotta ask you, if this happened in your neighborhood, would you fight? Or would you let someone like Martha decide what kind of life you're allowed to live? I'd love to hear your take on it. What's the line between protecting a community and letting one person run wild? Drop your thoughts below, and if you've got your own story, let's hear it. Because standing up together? That's how you build a real neighborhood, one where everyone's voice counts.